Welcome to the video. I am LightTheViking. This is going to be my top 6 mods for the most brutal Frosty challenge in Skyrim Special Edition that I've dubbed Frostdeath. You might think this is Windhelm, Winterhold or the Pale somewhere, but no, this is actually around Riverwood. And as you can see, there's a lot of snow, and that's a key thing about this list. You can follow me on twitch.tv/LightTheViking. I am streaming Monday, Tuesday, Friday and Saturday at 8 PM CET. Let's get into the video. The first mod on the list is very important. It's called Winter Overhaul 2019. As you can see here, it literally turns the entirety of Skyrim into a wintry landscape. And in the lore, it actually has been seen as very lore friendly, because in the winter this is most likely what Skyrim would look like. It also brings an entire new feel of the game when you're playing, basically. So just a couple of notes of Winter Overhaul 2019. This is the version you should be installing. And then if you have Falska or Frostfall, I would highly recommend installing these two. So next on the list we have Better Dynamic Snow SE, which replaces default snow shader with a dynamic shader. The dynamic shader uses the installed snow texture for the shader instead of the ugly vertex colors. Unless you like how the vanilla looks, then you don't need this mod, but I do highly recommend it. In at number 4 we have Wet and Cold SE. This is a mod that adds weather dependent visual effects and AI enhancements to the player and NPCs. As you can see here, it's very immersive. It has wet effects, drips, soggy feet, rain blind, cold effects, which is the focus here on my list, breaths, snowy, strong wind and blizzard blind. Here we are in the game, so let's take a look at the mod configuration. Wet and cold. Cold. And here you can see that you can disable or enable blizzard blind if you want. Full blur or disabled. For this challenge, I'd recommend either disabled or, if you wanted, just full on blizzard. So when it comes to the wet option here, I would really recommend winter for this particular list. It basically has to be winter here. In at number 3 we have the classic iNeed food, water and sleep, where you have to look after drinking, eating and sleeping, of course. It works very well with this challenge and these 6 mods, so I highly recommend that. A little note about wet and cold with iNeed is that snow melting rates are reduced in the cold. As you see here, traveling NPCs may be equipped with water skins, which allow purchasing of refills from them. In at number 2 on my list we have Campfire Complete Camping System. Very important for this Frostdeath challenge, or else you'll probably perish and die several times even more than you should. So I highly recommend this. Just as a little note on Campfire, I would recommend for this challenge, this particular challenge, to, as fast as possible, get rank 4 out of 4 in light campfires. In the firecraft. Now in at number 1, you probably already guessed it, Frostfall Hypothermia Camping Survival. It is a survival style mod that adds cold weather survival gameplay to Skyrim for elements. Very important for this challenge and as immersion for the entirety of Skyrim being covered in snow, even places like Falkreath and Riverwood. So a very important thing about Frostfall in-game is that you go to mod configuration, Frostfall, gameplay, and then you change the exposure rate to 3.0 times the exposure, which means you're gonna get cold really quickly. And then at max exposure, as you see there, you should have it on death, because this is actually a hardcore permadeath challenge. That's why I choose that option. It actually adds a whole new immersion to the game. I would also like to add that you should add frigid water is dangerous, just enable that. Pause exposure during dialogue, enable that. Pause exposure during combat. And high exposure slows you. And then for the last one, disable fast travel. So just as a side note with Frostfall, just like with Campfire, I would highly recommend to go to skills when you have a campfire going. Then go to next skill. And at adaptation, increase warmth rating 5 out of 5 as quickly as possible. So that will be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I will be creating timestamps for every mod in the description. Leave a comment if you like. Take care and have a good one.